Okay, good afternoon everyone. Welcome to study period 5. I hope you're all refreshed after your break and are looking forward to a second half of your first year of uni for most of you, I presume. Am I correct? Yes? Okay. Great that you're all still here. Great that you're all still survived. Great that you've all passed. Great that you're all still interested in doing IT. Okay, so it's good to see. My name's Kathy Dezanos. I'm your course coordinator for this study period. For those of you that are doing IT project management, you will also have me as your course coordinator for that course. So it's maybe going to be a love-hate relationship by the end of the study period. Hopefully it's going to be a good one. So you'll have me for the lectures. Some of you will also have me as your tutor in each or both courses, depending on which class you're enrolled in. So you'll notice a lot of similarities across both courses in terms of how I deliver the content and how the websites are set up, purely because I want to be consistent and give you some consistency across both courses. So you'll see some similarities. Having said that, some of what I'm going to say tomorrow, if you're going to be here, is going to be similar to what I'm saying today, but not exactly the same. So let's look at systems analysis. Today I'll be covering in 50 minutes just a bit of an overview of the course, assessment, the website, the calendar. I'll show you the website and just a really quick introduction to systems analysis just to get the ball rolling. What I have in all of the lecture slides, and I will be putting the lecture slides up in advance, and if you've looked at the website you've probably noticed that I have put up a couple of weeks worth of materials already. I'll have for each set of lectures the outline for the week as well as a series of learning objectives. Okay, these are not for my benefit, they're for your benefit. So as part of, I guess, your objectives for a given week, it's really good for you to understand and be aware of these particular learning objectives for a given week. So if at the end of a week or at the end of the tutorial, at the end of your studies, as well as for your revision, if you can tick off these learning objectives, then you're well on your way to success in this particular course. Okay, so use these as a guideline for what we're covering each week. I'll also be suggesting some reading each week that you can do and prepare before coming to class. So a little bit about me. You'll know who I am now. I've been a lecturer in the School of ITMS for many years. I work part-time, 4 days a week. Fridays I don't work. I'm also doing a PhD in my spare time. Married, 3 kids. One's now at uni, one's in high school, one's in primary school. So my life is just as crazy busy as yours. Okay, so I understand that we all have heaps of things going on. We're probably working at the last minute trying to get things done, but we've all got a job to do. Okay, you're all here to get a degree. You want to learn something from me. I want to give you some knowledge as well and impart that onto you. So make sure that you've posted your message on the course website. Make sure you've looked at the course website, posted a hello message, just to get into the course and do a few things. So if you've got any questions, I am on campus. I do have consulting times, which are posted on the course website. I'm always on email. Well, not always, but a lot of the times I'm on emails. If you've got any queries or concerns, don't hesitate to ask. Okay, I'm happy to answer any questions that you've got. I am based at Mawson Lakes. My office is in F257, if you can catch me there in between all the running around that I'm doing. I have been teaching this course. Last year was the first time we taught it, but I did teach it when it was taught in previous programs. So I have taught systems analysis before. And hopefully, you know, you enjoy the journey in terms of what information I provide you and what you can learn about what does systems analyst actually mean. What does it mean to be a systems analyst? What am I going to get out of this course? Contact details, they are my details on the website. There are also 2 additional tutors for this course. There are about 220 of you enrolled in the course, plus about 30 external, so about 250 altogether. So May is one of the tutors, and Michelle is the other tutor. So you'll either have May, myself, or Michelle as your tutor. These details are on the course website, so you can freely get them. And if you need to send us an email, those links are actually active, so you can click on those links to send us an email. Are there any external students here by any chance today? For the benefit of the externals, Robert Zanin is your primary contact, and he's the external tutor, and he's been involved in teaching this course and teaching with me for many years in terms of looking after external students. So if you've got any personal questions, yes, feel free to email me. If you've got any questions in relation to the course, please use the appropriate discussion forum on the course website, which I'll introduce to you. Reason being, I just said there's about 220 of you, 250. In project management, there's 300. Even though it's you times 2 in many of the instances, you can imagine the amount of emails I'd be getting if they were just generic course queries. I do monitor the discussion forums, and I do get notifications of things that are posted. And some of you probably would have noticed that I have been responding to some queries you've been putting on the course discussion forum. So if you post it on there, then I can clearly know what the question is in relation to and give you the most timely response. So if you can, avoid sending me a direct email unless it's of a personal nature, which I'm more than happy to respond to. Forums. There are a number of forums for the course website. There's the Systems Analysis News Forum, which is where basically I post information and all of you receive a notification. If you were checking your emails, you hopefully would have received something from me last week where I posted a welcome message to all students via that news forum. There's also the General Discussion Forum, which is where you can post generic questions that you've got, as well as post your hello message from the orientation activities. External students have a dedicated forum to them, as well as a virtual classroom. I've also set up individual forums for the particular assessments in the course, again, just so the queries and questions are directed. Okay, so if you've got a specific question about one of the assignments, please use those Q&A forums, and again, I can respond to them in a timely manner. So the course outline booklet, you all know what a course outline is. You would have all had one in last study period in your courses. Again, I've set one up for this course. You don't need to print it out. It's good practice to print it out. But what I must stress is that you please do read the course outline, okay? Even though they look the same across every course, the details within each of these course outlines is very specific to each course and each course coordinator. So don't assume what happens in one course is going to happen in the other 3 courses that you may be studying during this study period. Okay, so please read each course outline individually and take note of the things that are mentioned in each of those course outline booklets. In terms of the course overview, the learning resources, the assessment for each course, and the course calendar, so you can see what's happening on a week-to-week basis. So with this particular course, we're basically looking at information systems, analysing systems, looking at organisational problems. Obviously, an organisation has a problem they want to solve, therefore they have a requirement to develop some sort of information system that's been preliminarily approved. We need to then step in as a systems analyst and decide, try and figure out what goes in this information system. What are the requirements for this information system for this particular organisation to solve their current business problem? So as systems analysts, we need to interpret problems, and we need to be able to model system requirements in order for the systems to be developed and implemented in real life. So that's pretty much the aim of the course, looking at certain scenarios and looking at various ways of modelling requirements for different stakeholders involved in this analysis phase of developing an information system. Course content, no point in going through it. It is in the course outline, but this gives you a bit of a breakdown of what we're going to be covering throughout this particular course. Teaching and learning arrangements, it's a 1-hour lecture each week. If you have looked at the course outline for various system issues, which there's no need for me to get into, the course outline says that tutorials go for 13 weeks. Hopefully you've all got the message, either via the course outline or via my emails or via today. Tutorials start next week. Okay, so there's no tutes this week for systems analysis or project management for those of you that are in that course as well. So we have a 1-hour lecture each week, a 2-hour tutorial starting in week 2 to week 13. There are online discussion forums, and we have the virtual classroom for external students. Now, I'll finish off by saying this course has a student-centred learning approach. Okay? I don't want you to come to class. I prefer you not to come to class unprepared. Okay? I'm putting the materials up. I'm doing you a service in putting the materials up early. I'd like you to have a look at those materials and pre-read those materials. So it's not me just spoon-feeding you and regurgitating what's in the slides, but so we can have a bit of an engaging discussion about what's in those slides and any questions you may have about the content. Rather than me giving you a lecture, you might as well just all sit home and just read the slides and not have a lecture. Let's make this an engaging session and a forum where we can discuss real-life examples, discuss scenarios, discuss some of the things that I've given you in terms of the content and the chapter slides. Okay, so be prepared before coming to class, as much as you can be. It is only a 1 hour lecture. So lectures are recorded and the recordings are available within 1 or 2 hours after. I do have instructions of what I want you to do each week before coming to each of your classes, whether it's for the lectures, whether it's for the tutorials. The tutorials will have some pre-class activities, some in-class activities, so things you need to do before coming to class, as well as things that I'll get you to do in groups and participate and work together in groups to solve certain problems and scenarios in class. Why do we do it in groups? Because we like to work together in groups. You can share ideas. It's a less threatening environment. And if you've got no idea about a certain topic or a concept, you can work with your peers to come up with a solution. Or you can listen to what they've got to say and merge all your thoughts together to help you solve a particular problem or a scenario. So we'll be having some interactive discussion and small group activities in the tutorials, with external students engaging in the virtual classrooms and the discussion forums. I'll also be providing a revision material each week to reinforce your learning, whether it's a quiz, whether it's just a restatement of the learning objectives for a given week. Again, use those materials to reinforce your learning and to consolidate concepts that you may not have understood as we've covered them the first time around. And make this part of your weekly study for the course. So student-centred learning, bit of a blurb. I don't need to read it all. You can read it all, but I want you to be active participants in your learning. Okay? The more you engage, the more you participate, the more you're going to get from your learning. Okay? It's really disheartening to see students that don't engage and that perhaps just skip through the course and just pass by the skin of their teeth, or just fail by the skin of their teeth. And I can't pass them because they haven't done that 2.5% quiz, or they haven't done that 5% worth of checkpoints, or they haven't been coming to class. Make this part of your routine for uni. Prepare, study, and come to class. If you do those 3 things, I guarantee you 80% success rate. 80% of the time, you will succeed. Obviously, you've got to put some effort into it, but the basics is be responsible for your own learning, print out the materials, come to class, be prepared, and be prepared to engage. We're all here to help each other and learn something new, and learn off each other. So, that's what the textbook looks like. You can purchase it from, excuse me, the co-op, the bookshop at Mawson Lakes. There is also an e-book available, and the link is on the course website. The majority of you, from what I understand in what you're enrolled in, the majority of you will be doing systems design this time next year, which is a course in your program. Wolfgang teaches systems design. He uses the same textbook. Okay, so we've worked together to come up with a book that can be used for both courses. So if you buy the book now and invest in the book, keep it, because you can use it for 2 courses throughout your programs. Okay? There are additional learning resources, Learn Online, referencing, the library. A couple of the chapters in this book that I'll be covering are actually online chapters. They're not actually in the book, but they are part of the text, but they're online. And I've given you a link to those online chapters so you can use those as a reference point for those given weeks, as well as the website. Now, assessment. You must pass the exam to pass the course. So if you fail the exam, you'll be back doing the course. Okay? Obviously, you must get a 50% for the course overall to pass the course. But if you're sitting on 55%, without having done the exam, or even if you've done the exam, if you're sitting on 55% and you failed the exam, you'll fail the course. Okay, so you really need to pass the exam. How do you do that? Come to class, be prepared, do all the tutorials, do all the quizzes, do all the checkpoints, do all the assignments. You're well on your way to success. In terms of the assessment, and this is where I'm specific about looking at your course outline for specific details, about late submissions, about extensions, about remarking, about resubmission. And now I'll flick over to the next slide, which is got some red in it, and it's red for a reason, because I really need to highlight this point to you so you're aware of how it works in this particular course. Late submissions for this course will not be accepted. If you submit late without an approved extension by the course coordinator, i.e. me, you'll get 0. So it's not 10% per day late, or 5% per day late, or 20% per day late. It's 0 if you submit late. Okay? Yes, we're all human. Yes, things happen. Yes, we get sick. Yes, there are extenuating circumstances. That's fine. This is when you need to get some supporting documentation and go to the course website and click on the extensions link and ask me for an extension. And if you have supporting documentation, I'm more than happy to give you an extension if the need arises. Okay? So, yes, you can get an extension. If you have one, that's fine, but don't submit late without one. Otherwise, you'll get 0. That clear to everyone? And if you're not here and you're listening to the recording, hopefully you've got the message. Late submissions, not accepted, penalty of 0. In terms of the assessment, and again, this is listed in the course outline, you have continuous assessment, which is 20%. That consists of 4 online quizzes worth 2.5% each, and various checkpoints within tutorials, which I'll make clear in the actual tutorial document and say there is a checkpoint this week and what you need to do to achieve that checkpoint. Checkpoints worth 10%, quizzes worth 10%, in total 20% for continuous assessment. The first assignment is an individual assignment. It's due on the 4th of September. I've placed some materials on the website in relation to that assignment, but I haven't put the specs up yet. Some short questions and answers that you need to provide for various scenarios based on what we're covering in the first 4 or 5 weeks of the course. The assignment that's listed as number 3 is a group assignment with 25%. Okay? This is where you will form groups in your tutorials. Not straight away, probably in about 5 or 6 or week 7, after the census date, so we know that everyone's staying. We'll form some groups, and then you'll get to work on this particular group assignment, which again, you'll be given a scenario, and you'll have some questions and answers that you need to prepare in a given template. Then the exam, which is 2 hours, worth 40% during the exam period. There's no point in going on about academic misconduct. You're all aware we have Turnitin. Okay, all your assignments are checked. The main message is don't bother trying because you're going to get caught, because Turnitin picks it up and we can see where your source is coming from. Then it gives me an administrative nightmare. It gives you a lot of stress. Let's just avoid that whole scenario altogether. You can work together, but then go and produce your own information. Google is a wonderful thing, but let's not use it for copy and paste. Okay? Produce your own work and it won't be an issue. Okay? Simple as that. So the course calendar. This basically outlines what I'll be covering each week in lectures. And you can see the numbers at the beginning show you which chapter I'm covering in a given week in the textbook. So this week's chapter 1, online chapter A, chapter 2, chapter 3, chapter 4, chapter 5, online chapter B, and chapter 10. The other chapters you'll probably be covering with Wolfgang and Systems Design this time next year. So I'm not covering the whole book because it's a book covering both courses. You can see when your assignments are due, 6th of week 6 for the first assignment. I've made the assignments due at 11 p.m. on a Sunday in that given week, okay, for both courses. So whichever week it is, it's due at 11 p.m. on a Sunday. So you can sacrifice 2 days over the weekend and smash out your assignments. See, I think of you. And not go out the Saturday the night before, hopefully. So that's when your assignments are due. The sample quiz, I've got a sample orientation quiz, which I'll go through, talk about in a minute. But these are the 4 online quizzes that I was referring to as part of your continuous assessment. Okay, these quizzes are due, they are already up on the course website, and they are open for the entire week. So quiz 1, for example, is open from Monday of week 3 until 11 p.m. Sunday of week 3. So you've got the whole week to do the quiz, which is on topic 1 and chapter A. You only get 2 attempts at the quiz, and your highest mark will count. So if you get 15 out of 20 in the first attempt and you get 12 out of 20 in the second attempt, don't stress, because the 15 is the one that will count. Okay, so you get 2 attempts at the quiz. The sample quiz gives you the basic look and feel of what the real quizzes are going to look like and how they're going to work. So I really suggest that you do the sample orientation quiz for a number of reasons. So let's now have a look at the course website. No. I'm not going to play the welcome video. It's bad enough recording it. You can all watch it in your own time if you haven't already. Just a quick for my information, who has logged on to the course website? Excellent. Well done. Doesn't mean that you've looked at it, but at least you've logged on to it. Okay, so I've put the first couple of weeks up. So you've got the welcome, which is a bit of a spiel by me. Hair straight today, not curly. I had a bit of time before coming to class, so there you go. Orientation tab. Really recommend you go through the activities in the orientation tab if you haven't done so already. Why? Because it's going to give you an introduction to what I'm about and what this course is about and what the website is about. So if there's anything you want to do this week that you need to do, is look at the welcome tab, watch or not watch the video, but do the activities on the orientation tab. Okay? And that's really to help you get started with the course. There are some active links on here to click all the tabs. It gives you an explanation of what each of these tabs are about and how the weekly content is structured, as well as referring you to the orientation quiz. The orientation quiz, again, I strongly urge you to do. A, to get practice on how the 4 real accessible online quizzes are going to work. B, to make sure that you've understood some of the things about the course. Okay? So the schedule tab is pretty much a copy and paste from the course outline. So if you're not sure what we're doing in a given week, you can always look at the schedule tab to see what's going on. These are all the forums. Okay, we've already got a couple of unread posts. And it's great to see that some of you have already started engaging in the course and you've posted your hello messages. And every time you post a hello message, I get an email. So my inbox is not overflowing yet, so I can tell that a lot of you haven't done that yet. Because I'm expecting probably, you know, if you do it for both courses, I should have like 500 or so emails in my inbox, but I haven't got that many yet. So I'm watching, just remember. So that's where you need to post your hello message after doing the orientation activities. And again, these are all of the forums for each of the assignments. Assessment, again, this is a summary of what I just talked about. Some general information about assessment. Continuous assessment, okay? If you've got questions, post them on the forum. This is a link to the orientation quiz, and I've already put up all of the 4 online quizzes. Okay, so if you click on a quiz, which I'll do now, it gives you a bit of a preliminary information and a bit of reading. tells you it's not going to be available till Monday the 8th of August, etc., etc. So all of those quizzes are ready and available and will be there for you to do in those given weeks. In terms of the assignment, you may have noticed some links popping up in your My Uni essay about assignments. Yes, no, yep. As I've been creating them in Learn Online, doesn't mean you can start submitting yet. Well, you probably can, but why would you want to? It's only week 1. I've set up the links for the assignments, and that's how you can submit, either through there, and if you log on to the website as a student, it doesn't show up because I'm logged in and then I'm emulating a student, but the link here to submit it actually appears under here. So there's a Q&A forum. I've already put the rubrics up for the assignments, but I haven't put the specs up, so you can't start the assignments even if you wanted to. But basically, everything's up here. Now, the groups I've put up, but at the moment they're just all blank groups because you're not all in groups yet. Again, in a rubric, and there's a template for the assignment. But I'll discuss each of these assignments in due course to give you ample information and time to work on them and answer any queries you've got. Under here, there will also be a sample exam and some solutions, which we'll get to when the time comes. Let's not worry about that for today. Resources, if you want to buy the ebook, you can click this link here, okay, to purchase an electronic copy of the book. I'm not fussed whether you have the hard copy or have sourced an electronic copy from somewhere. Via that link, or a link, okay? As long as you've got something to work from, because I do, in the tutorials, a lot of the questions are based on the scenarios given in this version of the book, maybe similar to other versions if your friends have been kind enough to give you a copy of the book or whatever. But please make sure that you do have something as a resource, otherwise you kind of won't know what's going on in tutorials each week.
Does that mean the 6th edition of the book will be okay?
Sorry?
The 6th edition of the book will be okay?
What's this edition? 7th. 6 should be fine. Very similar, but should be fine. I see lots of people smiling. There may be some variation, that's at your own risk, and you'll have to confirm that with the tutor in terms of page numbers and things like that, but hey, it's an electronic world, but I didn't say that. Okay, so again, if you need to contact us, our details are here, and you can click on the email links to send us an email if you like. My consulting times are Tuesdays and Wednesdays, 1 to 2 p.m, so straight after this lecture and straight after the project management lecture tomorrow. So if you've got any queries and questions, feel free to come and see me during class. Now, what goes on each week? Who knows, you may say. We just turn up and listen. Okay, week 1 is this week. Because I'm awesome, I've got to blow my own trumpet because no one else will. I give you reminders each week, and I put red there to say it's a reminder. So what's the reminder for this week? Should start next week and complete the orientation activities. In other weeks, there'll be other reminders. Hey, there's a checkpoint due. Hey, there's an assignment due. Whatever. Okay, if it's something that I think you need to know, there'll be a reminder at the top of a given week. In addition to that, there'll be a pretty picture for each week, giving you the name of the topic, what we're covering each week, lecture material, tube material, revision material, assessment material. It's going to look the same structure each week for this course and for the other course if you're taking the other course that I teach. I have some instructions at the beginning of each section or under each heading to indicate to you what I expect to be done before coming to class. So to prepare for the lecture, print and read the course outline, print and read the lecture slides. And you can see the slides are here in PDF, okay, 3 slides per page. There's no tute this week, so you don't need to prepare for this week's tutorial. And this is a summary for what's been covered this week. Again, if there's any assessment going on, this is where it'll appear as part of your assessment. Do the sample orientation quiz if you haven't done already, and there's a link to the quiz. Seem pretty straightforward? Okay, so you can see we'll go to week 2. Looks exactly, well, the look and feel is exactly the same, okay? Reminder, there's a checkpoint this week. What does that mean? And make sure you've completed the orientation quiz. So next week we're covering the role of the systems analyst. This is the link to the online chapters because this is an online chapter that we're covering. The slides to prepare for the tute, read chapter 1, do the tute activities and watch the video. So there is a video, there is a tutorial. I'll open up the tutorial just to show you. Work through all activities and ensure you completed the checkpoint activities. So if there's a checkpoint in a given week, this is where it will appear and it will be highlighted in yellow. There'll be some pre-class activities and some in-class activities. But I'm not going to go through that because you can read through that in your own time. Okay, so you'll know and it'll be quite apparent when there is a checkpoint that needs to be done. It doesn't mean that you only turn up to the tutes where the checkpoint is. Okay? Again, key to success is preparing each week and coming to class each week. Okay, that's where you're going to benefit because it's not just me, May or Michelle going through all the stuff. It's you guys working together in groups, going through the pre-class activities and then working on some scenarios in the in-class activities. Why do you need to know all this? Because you're going to have an assignment on it, you're going to have a group assignment on it, and the exam is going to ask you to consolidate the concepts that you know because it's going to have some multiple choice, some short answer and some activity-based type questions with scenarios. Okay, so you need to be engaged and involved. And what better time to do that than in the actual class that's been dedicated to help you with your stuff. Again, to reinforce your learning, this week's got a summary, match the terms with the definitions as well as a crossword. And again, the assessment material, do the sample quiz, but you've also got to read topic 1 and chapter A to prepare for online quiz 1, which is due in week 3. So you can see all of the headings are there. I've given you sufficient instructions as well as the documents that you need for a given week. And as the study period progresses, obviously there'll be more content and more weeks appearing as we go. Does that make sense? Seems pretty clear, pretty intuitive. Does anyone have any questions about the course website at this point in time? Okay, hopefully I've set it up as nicely as possible. But please do those orientation activities. So I just want to play this video to represent how quickly our world is actually changing and why we need to be up to speed with tools and technologies and systems as individuals and organisations. Not examinable, not part of your assessment, but it's nice to know who's here. It's nice to know who turns up. For several reasons. So it's in alphabetical order of surname. Just don't do big ticks. I've just put a line right up the top. Just do a little line by your name. Don't cross over the boundaries of the square and just use this blue pen. No other pen. If your name's not on the list, please add it to the end of the sheet where I've left extra space. I've got 10 minutes to get this done. So if you can just please find your name. A nice, neat little dash where your name is, that'll be great. So, how do you think this video relates to systems analysis? Why did I even bother playing this video?
Because it analyses market trends in technology.
Looks at market trends in technology. Are we driven by market trends? Are we driven by technology? Who's got Pokemon Go? They're not lies, I believe it. I believe it. My kids have all got it. My phone gets hijacked. We go for long drives. It's a completely new world out there. What's that done? Make people go outside. Made someone $1 gazillion in 3 weeks. Yep. Turned Nintendo around. Yeah, anyone got Nintendo shares? If you have, you're probably not in this room anyway. Have any new businesses been created out of this new game? Advertising? Leveraging?
Businesses are like, some businesses like Pokestops, and they say, if you're part of this team, we'll put this Pokemon, come in and give 10% off.
That's a clever business model.
Yeah.
Merchandise? Sorry? Data collection? Have you heard that they've been creating businesses where it's like an Uber thing? Yeah, if you want us to, we'll drive you around for $20 an hour so you can go Pokemon hunting. People are doing that as well. Okay? I heard on the news that people are charging $20 an hour to take your phone for a walk so you can hatch your eggs or whatever it is that you do on... It's on the news. It's on the news. So you can see just by something that was released like even 2 weeks ago, that's how hot this is. Yes, it's not, Pokemon Go is not an information system, but it's causing organisations to think about what's happening in the world today. And how can we leverage our organisation and what we do based on what is happening in the world today, or might happen tomorrow. Who knows what's going to get released tomorrow? I'm sure there'll be lots of something goes made, whatever the go might be. But you can see from this video, and just from that specific example I've given you, technology is changing all the time. Organisations need to be really adaptable to what they do in their organisation and how they can meet market demands and how they can capitalise on fads and make money where possible. But not only that, organisations really need to think about what systems they have and how they can stay current in the industry that they're involved in. So in terms of systems analysis, it basically starts once a development project has been approved. We need to develop systems to solve business problems. We don't just develop systems for the sake of spending a lot of money. They need to solve some sort of business problem. It is a series of processes, and in this course we're going to elaborate on what happens in the systems analysis phase of the systems development life cycle. The system development life cycle has a number of phases. One of those is systems analysis, and that's what we're going to be focusing on in this study period. The follow-up process to analysis is systems design, again, which we'll be doing with Wolfgang, hopefully this time next year. So who is an analyst? Well, the analyst is basically the bridge between the business and the IT professionals. The analyst needs to have quite a large skill set to be able to elicit requirements, understand requirements, gather requirements, model requirements from the customers, but as well as to be able to model those requirements to pass on to those that are designing the system. They need to understand research problems. They need to provide potential solutions to organisations and understand what goes on in an organisation in order to be able to help them, I guess, plan what they're going to do for the future and how they're going to realise their vision of this particular system that's been approved for development. So as an analyst, we, you, I, wherever, whatever, throughout this course, we are all systems analysts. We're going to be looking at how to gather information to determine system requirements and deliver a set of requirements for various aspects of an information system. This gives you a snapshot of the systems analysis or systems development life cycle, where we identify the problem, we plan and monitor the project, May think there's a bit of an overlap between project management and systems analysis. Well, project management is kind of throughout the whole phase of developing a system, but there's a lot of stuff that we need to do up front, okay, in terms of planning and monitoring the project. Systems analysis comes into this phase of the life cycle: discover and understand details. Then you design the components, you build, test and integrate them, and you complete the tests and deploy the solution. Again, in this course, we're not looking at all of those. We are looking at this third core process of systems analysis, which involves gathering information, defining requirements, prioritising requirements, developing dialogues and evaluating requirements with the users. Why is it important to evaluate your requirements with your users? You could be missing the mark, which is typified by my last slide, which is this one. How the customer explained it, how the project leader understood it, how the analyst designed it, how the programmer wrote it, what the customer really wanted. Okay? And it can be a really simple miscommunication that can lead to something as disastrous as that happening. And as an analyst, you need to have the skills and the qualities to be able to interpret those solutions, come up with problems, understand what the customer is telling you, what they want, even though most of the time they don't even know what they want until they see it, which is why we have iterative design and why we have iterative prototyping and why we have iterative development. So it's an iterative process. You don't see these people once and then come back and say, here's your system, it's what you wanted. It doesn't work like that at all. There's no reality about that. So you've really got to think about what you're doing, who you're talking to, how you are representing the information they're giving you, how you're getting the information from them, different ways to gather information, different ways to represent information, whether that information is to the people, whether it's to the designers, whether it's to the developers, whether it's to the CEOs, lots of people involved, lots of stakeholders involved in the development of an information system. And we'll hopefully get to some of that throughout the next 12 weeks of the course. So I'm going to leave it at that for today. Thank you for coming. Again, see you next week, or some of you, see you tomorrow. Please fill out that attendance sheet, wherever it is.